head. I also was notified about this this morning by Chanel, so I just said out loud. So, one of the things I looked up before I came over was, what makes a good presentation? And one of the things I saw was you're supposed to win your audience. I'm supposed to win you guys. And one of the suggestions was tell a joke. But I don't know jokes, and honestly, I'm not that personable to find 5-year-olds. So you have a 5-year-old, I have a 5-year-old. They know good jokes. So if you'll play with me for a second, and I'm going to keep this short, so I'm not going to do it for you. So now I'm going to joke. So knock knock, interrupting cow, moo. So Michael will be glad to know that I told that joke. So I'm going to talk to you guys about estimating. That's my primary topic for tonight, and then if we have some time, I'll talk to you about managing repairs, as you go through the project. But I'm going to talk about 3 different things related to estimating: cost, scope, and specifications. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. I'll hold it closer. So, let me ask this question before we get going. What's more important when estimating repairs, being accurate or being comprehensive? Man, you guys have read the book or heard it before. So actually, before I get that answer to that, somebody mentioned, Phill mentioned Keller Williams, millionaire real estate investor. Well, this is book number 3 in that book series. This book happens to be written by my mentor, Rick Villani, who lives here in Austin, and was nice enough to include me in the book. So a lot of what I talk about tonight will come from this book, and it's like $17 on Amazon, so it's a fantastic resource. So if you miss anything, go buy this book, $50. I'm not plugging my stuff, I'm plugging somebody else's. So the answer to the question, is it more important to be accurate or to be comprehensive when you're estimating repairs, is, drum roll, it is comprehensive. And the reason is this: if I go to a property and I'm evaluating repairs, I'm trying to determine what I'm going to do, if I miss the roof, if I don't look at the roof, it's easy to miss the roof, right? It's overhead, you don't see it, or I see it in the street sometimes. If I miss it, my repair budget is off by 100%, right? I have no budget for it. Well, what if you're really comprehensive, but you're a bad estimator? So maybe the roof really costs $6,000, but you're a bad estimator, but you're comprehensive, and so you included a budget of $4,000, $3,000, call it what you want. You have something in your budget. So knowing repair costs is important, but you're going to hear me camped out more on being comprehensive and identifying repairs than you will knowing how much things cost. So, accurate pricing. It is important to know how much things cost. It's not the most important thing. How do you find out what things cost? Just out of curiosity, how do you guys figure out what it costs to remodel a house? Home Depot. Everybody, if you guys haven't spent copious amounts of time in Home Depot, you're probably not trying hard enough. There's your material costs. Lowe's sometimes, go someplace, find out how much stuff costs. Then what about how much the labor costs, like getting things done? How do you figure that out? It's a little bit harder, right? You have to start talking to contractors and talking to trade. Get on the phone with people and find out what things cost. Come to these meetings. I know they have breakout sessions where they talk about this subject. That's a good place to find out. Networking with your fellow investors is another good way. Just start learning how much things cost. You're going to need to know that. Like I said, not the most important. I heard one guy, he goes around, he does this tour where he talks about repair costs, and he talked about how you get repair estimates, and he talked about this strategy of going in and 3 bids for everything, and then, you take those bids and to get the best price, you round robin the guys and try to get them to come down. And I thought, if the average house has, I would say 20 different trades that are going to step onto the property, getting 30 bids and getting 3 bids, that's 60 times you have to get the property to meet different trades to get that information. It's very tedious and time consuming and impractical. So there are some shortcuts to that. I can't get into all of them tonight, but you got the point. It's not as important to be accurate as it is comprehensive. So, being comprehensive. Now this is the scope part. We just talked about cost. We'll talk about scope, number 2. You need to get good at identifying repairs. You need to be able to look at something and know what it needs. So let's take countertops, for example. You walk into a house, and something's not right about the countertops. They're ugly, they're damaged, they're broken. So what do? You know, you could repair it, you could replace it. There's a couple different options on what you can do. You can do nothing. Some houses, maybe it's okay to leave the countertops the way they are. Maybe they're in great shape, so there's always the option to do nothing. You have to watch out for what I call overlooked repairs and collateral repairs. And overlooked repairs are kind of like we talked about earlier, missing the roof. It's easy to overlook things. There are a lot of things that are hidden from sight, and if you don't know how to dig around the property, you can miss some things that are important. Collateral repairs are repairs that happen when you do one repair, another repair is required. So sometimes, let's just take a water heater, for example. You want to replace the water heater. It's on a whole house. So when you replace the water heater, sometimes out of necessity, you have to additionally make some upgrades to the water heater closet. Combustion air, all these complicated terms that the city wants to make you comply with. So you have to know that when you do the water heater, I may have to make some upgrades to the closet. You also may need to do something, if you do the countertops, using our countertop example, you can't just replace countertops without changing out the sink and the faucet and the garbage disposal. And so those are collateral repairs. If you go and identify the countertop needs to be repaired, but you don't know that it's got collateral repairs attached to it, you'll miss things. Foundation's a good one too, because when you do foundation repairs, there's all kinds of stuff that may have to be fixed as collateral damage. Broken plumbing, gas lines, plumbing lines, landscaping. I mean, and there's internal piers, a lot of other things too, because they break out the slab in those locations. So, okay, next point. So, to wrap that up, actually, we have a saying, Rick has a saying that he who has the best list wins. If you have a good, comprehensive list of all the things, if you go to a property with a checklist, and you can go through and you can check off items, it'll help ensure that you don't miss things. All right, sometimes you have the incorrect scope. So sometimes your scope is incomplete, which we talked about. You miss things, you overlook things, you don't know about collateral repairs. And sometimes you have the wrong scope of work. You know, maybe you don't know, well, that's actually, go back another step. You don't know what things you have to do. So there are, in the book where it talks about the must-dos, the could-dos, and the should-dos. There are certain things in a property that you have to do. You cannot not do them. They're code things. They're issues that are so obvious that no one can let them pass. There are things that you should do. Those are things that help the house meet the neighborhood norms. So I recommend when people buy property and they're doing their evaluation to really know what the neighborhood calls for in this type of investing. So I'm going to tell you about something that I see going on in Austin here at the end that's not related to this. So you need to know what the comparables look like, because the temptation is to want to over-rehab the property. Some of you guys live in nice houses, you see these little junkers, and you want to fix them up like the house you live in, but that's not what's needed. So whenever people ask me, when we have these discussions and we talk about what we do to a property, the answer is always, it depends. What does the neighborhood call for? What's the condition of the item that we're looking at? So remember the must, could, and should, and you have to think about repairs in terms of the 3 people that can kill a deal. I mean, there's probably more, but I have 3 main people that I think of on a property that when you're trying to sell it, they can kill it. The buyer can kill it. They may not like what you've done. The lender can kill it. There may be something that you haven't done to the property that they want to have done. And it may just be something with maybe other lender issues, but as far as condition, lenders have certain requirements, and the appraiser is also involved. They're looking at the property for the lender as well. So you have to try to comply with all 3 of those people. Actually, and the inspector. Because the lender and the appraiser are kind of the same. The inspector is also going to go to the property, and he can scare your customer with his inspection list, and he'll point out a lot of things that maybe even you didn't know about. So inspector, lender / appraiser, and then buyer. So when you're making your repair list, you have to know, if you're going to sell the house to FHA, what does FHA require? What kind of repairs? FHA has some funny, nuanced requirements in their underwriting that you have to comply with. So, and they're also the most rigid underwriting process. So if you're trying to determine your scope of work, starting with the FHA appraisal guidelines is a good place to start. You can Google it, and you'll get a good list of things on that. And so I call this strategic repairs, making the right repairs for the property. The question is, So now I know the countertops are damaged or ugly or whatever. What do I do to them? Well, do you repair them? Do you replace them? Or do you do nothing? And then beyond that, now we have specifications. So every house has a certain design level to it. And the book where it talks about basic, standard, designer, and custom. Basic is going to be your low-rank house. Designers, or standard is sort of the middle of the road house. It's sort of the mid-America house most people live in. Probably and often would be a house that sells for $120,000 to $220,000, just to give you kind of a general range of what the standard house looks like. Designer is going to be upgraded, a little bit nicer. Usually $250,000 to $350,000, somewhere in there. It can go up a little bit more. The Austin market skewed a little bit higher than some parts of Texas. I know the Dallas market really well, but Austin is a little bit higher. And then custom is the our properties that can go to infinity and beyond quite literally. I used to work for a builder that we built $20 million homes, some of these houses. And so there's no cap on what you can spend on a property. So thinking in terms of the design levels, buying the right finish out of the materials that you're putting in the house is important. Knowing if you need granite or laminate countertops. Knowing if you need brushed nickel or brass or what's another, polished brass. There's lots of different colors. Hard name, pick your color. And then the weight of the carpet, the type of carpet you put in. All those things are things that would fit at different design levels. Nicer houses get nicer finish out. Higher prices. So the thing that I want to talk to you guys about a little bit, which actually is a little bit of a break from the standard rehab process, is something that I've noticed in Dallas, and I've been talking in Austin. I've been talking to some of the local investors about this, and I've seen it's become very difficult for investors to get those standard level houses where you go into a neighborhood and you buy the house. It's a $200,000 house, you buy it at 50% of value, you put a bunch of repairs into it, and you bring it up to value, and it's a $200,000 house. I've seen that's a little bit tough right now. It seems like there's lots of competition. Those are pretty easy rehabs for most people, and it's an easy price point, and it seems like it's getting tougher. You guys can bring your own, I'm sure. But what I'm seeing from people that are having a great deal of success right now is this concept that I've talked about with Rick that we call tier dumping. And it's a term we made up. There's probably a more accurate term, and somebody probably has a better term. But it's the concept that certain neighborhoods are stratified as far as their housing values. Some neighborhoods are very homogeneous. So the suburbs have very homogeneous houses. The price variance is not very high from one house to the other. Most houses, fit within a certain percentage range, and you can't go above that too much because the appraisals won't do it. You can't go into a $200,000 neighborhood in Pflugerville and build a $400,000 house, right? It just won't happen. But what seems to be a trend now, and some of you guys have seen this, is taking the $200,000 house and making it a $400,000 house. Taking it from a standard level house to a designer level house. And I'm seeing that as the trend where some of the people that are making big money are making their money. They're changing the nature of the property. So I see this in like Crestview, neighborhood over here, where I've seen this happening. People are taking these little 800 square foot cracker boxes, and they're making them 1,800 square foot houses. And there are a number of reasons why, and I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I do want to say that those are going to be much bigger properties, or much bigger rehab projects. They're going to be more intense, there's more risk, there's more time, there's higher return. So I'm kind of a nerd. I study the industry, and I like to know who's making money and where they're making money, so I wanted to give that to you because it's like my construction talk. And